We are in the middle of a massive mechanical expansion. The artificial intelligence boom is driving infrastructure deals of immense scale, requiring endless rows of constantly humming servers. Amazon Web Services is currently purchasing 1 million GPUs from NVIDIA in a straightforward market exchange. A GPU, or graphics processing unit, is the specialized electronic circuit required to process artificial intelligence data. Standard market models evaluate a deal of this size with high precision. These calculations account for the visible inputs, the cost of the chips, the energy required to run them, the labor, and the interest rates. Hyperscalers relying on this ledger defer massive, uncalculated physical costs, pushing them off the balance sheet. Rather than bypassing the physical bottlenecks of the real world, they are simply hiding them. We actively designed our systems to make this $7 trillion technological foundation invisible.
The data isn't missing, it is being ignored. 20 years ago, transactions of this magnitude automatically triggered unified community hearings and environmental impact reviews. Today, that vital data remains scattered across bureaucratic silos. The information still exists. Local watershed drawdown, the rate at which a community's groundwater is depleted, is meticulously tracked by the United States Geological Survey. Severe workforce time poverty and caregiver burnout are also rigorously measured by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Data classification acts as a rigid filter. Water data labeled environmental is sorted away from the grid stability queue. Burnout metrics classified as labor data are excluded from risk assessments for new data centers. School budget gaps filed as education data are divorced from local zoning decisions. The classification system itself is a design choice. It dictates what gets priced into a deal and what remains invisible. While artificial intelligence operates in scales in microseconds, the regulatory systems designed to monitor its impact run on an agonizingly slow feedback loop. This dual timeline creates a massive delay. By the time a severe watershed drawdown triggers an official regulatory response, the data the models are using is already 18 months old. The human cost compounds in that gap. By the time school funding shortfalls show up in official property tax metrics, the local caregivers have already collapsed and families have left the area. This disastrous latency functions as a design feature of the fragmented system. Every agency works on its own timeline, and no single entity holds the obligation to see the whole picture. You cannot bypass the physical foundation of an economy. The drained watershed will eventually require ecological restoration, and the hollowed community requires new infrastructure. On the financial ledger, this deferred cost is actively compounding. 47 lost minutes of caregiving becomes 50. $54,000 in public debt inflates to $60,000. The skyrocketing cost of doing business is a visibility failure. It is driven entirely by the compounding price of keeping reality off the books. We can solve this by closing the circuit. Because the problem is visibility, we can fix it without abandoning our core business models. This requires looking closely at a single grid point and connecting the scattered local gauges, the geological surveys, the time use statistics, and the utility tariffs that already exist there. Integrating this data redefines the economy. The watershed becomes a relative. The workforce becomes a human life. To survive this era of scale, we must realize that the data we need was never missing. It was always there, waiting to be witnessed.